Hi guys! Oh my god, it's been a minute since I last uploaded my video. For those of you guys that are new to my channel, welcome. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to my channel. It will help me a lot. The reason why I been MIA for the past 3 months is because I actually bought a property that I could rent out. Of course, I had to clean it up, make it look nice, and make it ready for tenants to move in. Screen tenants and place tenants. It was a lot of work. Along the way, I was very unfortunate to come across with a nightmare tenant. And I'm still healing from the trauma. Um, I'm not even sure if I'm ready to talk about my experience with that. But in today's video, I want to talk about how to properly screen tenants so that you don't have to experience what I've experienced. So let's get right into it. Actually, before I talk about how I screen my tenants, I want to make sure that you guys are aware and knowledgeable about the Fair Housing Act in your state. Specifically for me, California, they don't want you to discriminate against their race, their color, their national background, their age, their gender expressions, things like that. So make sure that you review those and know the rules before you play. So now that you guys are aware of that, let's talk about how I screen my tenants. So I've actually broken it down to three parts. Number one is you gotta set your minimum requirements. So when you put your ad on whatever platform you may want, whether it's Craigslist, Facebook, Zillow, furnish finders, whatever you choose, you want to specifically put all your minimum requirements, the non-negotiable ones, so that you can weed out the bad tenants and the tenants that are appropriate for what you're looking for. So the first thing I look at is that the person has to have a stable income. It means you have to have at least 3 times as much of your monthly rent. So for example, the rent is $1,000, your monthly income should be $3,000 at least. The second thing I look at is your credit score. Credit score tells you how responsible you are paying on time. So ideally, I like to rent my property to tenants with 700 or above, but the minimum I go for is 600. The reason for that is banks allow people with 600 credit score to have mortgage. So if the banks are okay with it and then I'm okay with it, I wouldn't go for 500 credit score. That's a red flag. Another thing that I require is that the tenant must be able to provide me a security deposit. Some people would ask if they can pay half of the security deposit later next month. And that's very risky because they might never pay you back. Other things that I require really depends on what type of housing situation you're renting for, whether it's family for the whole house or renting individually per room. In my case, I'm renting for per room, so I require them not to have any pets in the property, and I require them to be not smoking, no drugs, and single occupancy only. And you'll be surprised, there will be people that will message you, oh, I'm moving with my girlfriend, my wife, or husband. So these people didn't take the time to read the requirements. So I just don't reply and don't want to waste their time or my time. So make sure that the first stage you include all the minimum requirements that you want in your property. And so that way you save a lot of time. You weed out the ones that are not qualified for the rental. So moving on to the second stage of the screening process, now that you have a couple people that you screen through phone or on chat or text, they met your minimum requirements. Now it's time for you to show the property. I would normally schedule my showing on the same day, so that way you save a lot of time and gas driving back and forth to your property. It's a good time to actually get to know them, ask some questions, get to know them a little bit. It's also a time for them to get the rental application, fill it out. It should include their name, their full name, their date of birth, social security, and their driver's license. Those are very important information to for a background check and for collections. It also needs to include the phone number, your email address, your previous and current landlords, and your employee, and consent for a background check. So those are very important information that they need to provide to you for the rental application. I like to walk with them to their car and see if their car is clean or dirty, if it's messy inside, and that's kind of how you are gonna see how they are in terms of taking care of your property. So you've gone to the first and second stage, and then the third stage would be gathering evidences. So you've already chosen a couple tenants that like the property and they want to move forward. What's next? So that means you gotta perform background checks. This is something you must do. Don't skip this process, because don't be like me. So don't be lazy, okay? So you gotta perform background check and look at if they have any criminal backgrounds or any evictions in the past, and you're gonna see their credit score as well there. So having eviction in the past is non-negotiable for me, at least, because that's very risky, a big red flag for me. So let's say they said, oh, my credit score is 750. Don't just take their word for it. You gotta gather the evidence and make sure that you see their credit score, and don't believe anything they say. You have to gather evidences. So that means you have to verify their employment, whether you talk to the HR and verify their status of their jobs, their employment status. You also should call up their previous landlords and their current landlords and see how they are as a tenant. Some applications, they put their friends' numbers pretending to be landlords. The way I verify this is ask them how long they've had the house for, when did they buy it, and how many bedrooms there are. And then go back to Zillow or Redfin and verify it, because it will show the information on what year the property was sold for and how many bedrooms there are. So people that are pretending to be landlords usually wouldn't know this answer, or they wouldn't know what to answer for this. So make sure you do your own research, Google it, verify it, go to Redfin, go to Zillow, play detective. One bonus tip for you guys is to not accept checks as payments. Checks can be problematic. It could bounce. Tenants can also say, oh, I've mailed my check and it probably got lost in the mail, but in reality they probably didn't send it. So I also don't like providing my home address, and I don't have a PO box, so it's always just best to accept payments only electronically, such as Zelle, PayPal, or Venmo. So those are the 3 stages that I go through when screening tenants and avoiding nightmare tenants. You gotta be diligent in your screening process. Don't be lazy. Don't skip. Just trust the process, and yeah, you will avoid the same mistakes that I did, and it will save you big time. So make sure you're very diligent and don't be lazy. If you guys like my video and find it helpful to you guys, make sure you comment below and share what you guys like and what you would add for screening process. And make sure you smash that like button. Thank you.